So I had in our agenda here, I have kind of like we can talk about the other ITIL processes and their relationship to service level management. I've kind of evolved on this over a period of time, and that's probably from getting several things wrong before and banging my head against the proverbial wall to try and get them to work, and eventually I didn't. So, and again, I'm not right necessarily, so if you guys think differently, please feel free to speak up. But I think there are two service delivery, ITIL service delivery processes that really have service level management as a core component to them. And that would be incident management, where something's broken and it goes through a series of prioritizations, and based upon the outcome of that prioritization, you will have a target time in which to restore that service, if you will. And then with request management, I think that items that you would have in your service catalog, if in fact you do have a service catalog, would be would have a service level associated with the time to deliver them. And so if it takes 5 days to deliver a PC, then to a new employee, then that process is going to take 5 days, and you would kind of guarantee delivery on that. So a couple distinctions. Number one, incidents are restored. The SLA is driven by a priority scheme. So if it's a major incident, maybe it's got to be resolved in 2 hours. And if it's a lower priority incident, or I think what we would call a standard priority incident, maybe it's 3 days. And then an item ordered from a service catalog, or a service ordered from a service catalog, would be the SLA would be based upon the time it takes to deliver that particular item or service. I don't think changes would have an SLA, right? Changes have a target deployment date, but not necessarily an SLA. And then I don't think problems would necessarily have an SLA associated with them either. And then the other thing is on the request management, and I always forget this one, is there are kind of generic requests where somebody may ask you to fulfill something that you don't necessarily typically offer or have a workflow or a procedure in which to deliver it. I don't think those have SLAs. I think that's all delivered best effort. Gentlemen, what do you think?
I think you're spot on there, Mark. Those are two key ITIL processes that are often wrapped within SLAs in whether you are, as a company, you are outsourcing your services, or if you're just tracking how well you perform internally. Very common SLAs there. I think we also see them in availability management. If you're into infrastructure and operations, uptime is frequently a metric that will find its way onto your desk.
All right.
But I agree.
That is a great point, David.
Right. And excuse me, I don't disagree with anything you said. I think those are key and very important. But there's some companies that I've worked with or had the pleasure of working with where they will put an SLA on everything. You know, I know in some situations, I mean, it feels like you're in a stranglehold. You know, and in terms of, I mean, you can get to a point where this was a true story at one of the companies I went to help simplify everything they were doing. They started off with 3 colors: red, yellow, and green, right? In terms of what the priority should be. And by the time they had been working with this other consulting company, they had it multiple colors. I mean, like probably 20 different shades of every color. And it just makes it too complex. You know, what you want to do is use a little bit of common sense, figure out what the right SLA is, and work to that as best to your capabilities. But where you get into trouble is where you get some executives that have, especially in larger companies, where they're directors on top of directors that are trying to negotiate perpetually. In other words, yeah, we have an SLA, but this is a circumstance that needs, you know, higher level of attention and more people on this, et cetera, et cetera. And those are where you get caught up and things will just fail at that point, because now you're circumventing your own best, you know, guesses in terms of what an SLA should be and how it should be worked. But just, you know, just another thread in this thing to give you some different perspective.
Great point.